It's been almost a year since my family took a trip to the Faroe Islands. The Faroe Islands are an archipelago that sit in between Iceland and the UK. So they're just a bit north of the UK and just a bit southeast of Iceland. They are pretty well known for their spectacular landscapes, and so that's what draws people there, probably that want to take photos or just to travel to unique places in maybe the summertime as far as like their local climate goes. We flew into Iceland and took a small plane from there to the Faroes. I would describe the weather in the Faroes as pretty atmospheric, which is great for photography, but can be difficult if you're not prepared. We started our adventure on the island of Streymoy and explored a couple places: Fossa, a huge waterfall on the island, and then Tjørnuvik. Tjørnuvik is a small beach town at the northern part, probably the northernmost part of Streymoy. The weather didn't seem to be getting better, and we were hopeful it might. In fact, I think the winds were starting to approach gale force, so we decided to turn back and head back down to the safety of the small town. We ended our day in Tórshavn, where we were staying, and decided to treat ourselves to some open-faced Scandinavian sandwiches. In the Faroes, there are many different tunnel systems that'll take you to the different islands. You can get there also by ferry sometimes. But anyway, we were off today to a different place, a small town called Kalsoy, and it has a famous waterfall there. Mjølafossur is the name of this waterfall, and it sits just below the town that's up on the hillside above the cliffs. I kind of think that this waterfall has got to be one of the top 10 in the world to photograph. It's just amazing. the Faroes, they say that one dog is as good as 10 men. Quite often you'll come across a dog or two in some of the villages, and they do belong to these small communities. They're used, obviously, to herd the sheep that are found everywhere. We ended our trip on Vagar with a little boat tour. These tours take you closer sometimes to some of the landmarks that you might want to photograph, like Drangarnir. It's important to know what kind of boat you're taking if you're bringing a camera, because that's going to affect the type of equipment that you bring. I chose to bring a smaller lens on this with my Nikon, and that helped me when the boat was just jumping up and down here in the waves. Next, we headed to Sørvágsvatn. This is a lake that just seems like it's hovering quite a ways above the ocean. A lot of people go out here for a hike, and they head towards a huge cliff face that's called the Slave Cliff too. And local legend is that the Old Norse, I guess Vikings, would take slaves out here that were disobedient and throw them off the cliff. This might be one of the only shots where I actually took out my tripod. Generally, when I'm hiking around like this, I like to try to travel light, and so I don't bring it. So the next day we headed out to an island called Kalsoy. The island has great transit, and I would suggest anybody wanting to go there to use that and just walk on the ferry. You do need to reserve a ticket usually, and then you can walk on and use the transit on the island to get around, because it just basically goes to the end of the island and back. Our main destination was a lighthouse called Kalsoy Lighthouse. And this lighthouse is pretty epic, and I was hoping to get a good photo of it. You might recognize this landscape from the last James Bond movie. This is about a 3-mile hike, round trip, and it's not too bad, really. It's a little bit steep in some places. Make sure to bring boots and a wide-angle lens. For the most part, the landscapes are just huge and pretty dynamic. We headed down from the hike and decided to grab a quick bite to eat, and then jumped on the bus and headed back to the ferry terminal. Before you get there, it will take you to a little town called Mikladilur, and this town has a statue called Seal Woman, and it's based off of a pretty grim fairy tale. That's a wrap for now. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, folks. Ciao.